Welcome to our first in a series titled Beyond the Metrics, where we interview Australian customer experience leaders about their careers and the most important lessons they have learnt while doing their job. Our first leader is Aileen Day, our CCXP, who will be presenting at the Melbourne CXPA event on Customer Experience Day on the 3rd of October. Aileen is a globally recognised certified customer experience professional and academic. Having worked from the ground up in some of Australia's most trusted brands, including Coles, Bunnings and Officeworks, Aileen now works with organisations around the world, advising them on how to strategically design their very own trusted and value-driven brand. Hi Aileen, thanks for agreeing to do this interview today. So how's your day been so far?
So far, it's been busy getting a 1-year-old off to daycare and a 13-year-old off to high school. But now it's peace and quiet. So it's you and me.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for taking the time in this busy morning. If we could just start by, if you could just go through a bit of your career background and what you're currently up to.
Yeah, for sure. So career-wise, I have spent much of my career in Wesfarmers. So between Coles and Bunnings Warehouse and Officeworks. And more so, so Coles, I was in a bit of a management position there, but I moved over to Bunnings when I was was 20. And from there, I started on the floor in what they call special orders and worked my way over the next 14 years into head office and became the National Customer Insights Manager for Australia and eventually also helping look after New Zealand as well. And the thing with that was that we didn't know it at the time because it didn't have a name the way it does now, but when you break down the roles and responsibilities of what I was doing in store support for Bunnings, it was and is essentially a customer experience leadership role. So predominantly, I was responsible for obtaining customer feedback, listening to our customers, analysing the data, working with our cross functions to work out what we could do to improve the customer journey, with the ultimate and primary goal of creating customer loyalty. So there was many opportunities for businesses to come in and do what we were doing, and some did. You probably remember Masters, and there's Mitre 10 and all those players out there. And so my role was to extensively work out with the whole company how we could make sure that when those competitors came into the market, that our customers stayed loyal to our brand. And from there, I went and worked with the team at Officeworks in a new role for them, and essentially doing the same thing, but predominantly for their B2B sector. And that was a really interesting exercise in starting a customer experience role from scratch. And they didn't have customer listening posts, and they were a lot of the CX kind of disciplines that we now take for granted were completely new to them. And so it was a really exciting time implementing different activities, different service offers, mapping out that customer journey to work out what it was going to take should another player, and there were other players in that market as well, what could we do to create that trust and brand loyalty for Officeworks, starting essentially from scratch. And so there were so many wonderful lessons in there as well. And eventually I had some considerable changes occur in my life, and I decided to go and do some soul searching, I essentially would call it. And initially I was going to go and design shoes. I have a bit of a fascination with shoes.
Okay.
And Ultimately, I got pulled back into the CX realm. I am also a qualified public relations specialist as well. And so I started finding organizations wanted to brand themselves a particular way, but their customer experience didn't align to what they wanted to put themselves out there as. And so I thought, hang on a minute, I've got to get back in there. But this time I thought I'm going to do it for myself. And the thing that I really learned was that I took so much of what I did and what I learned over the years for granted, essentially. I thought everybody knew this stuff. And when I started talking to other businesses about, what have you done to map out your customer journey? Who's your target audience? How do you know that you're delivering what they're looking for? All of these, what I would think are simple questions with easy answers, really stumped so many people that I was coming into contact with. And so I
sometimes
started
you
to realize
forget. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
there was a real
Sometimes you.
gap in the market.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
sometimes you also forget because you're so involved in something, right? You sort of underestimate your own skills and knowledge of something, right? Because these people, they haven't been there. To them, it is because it's new. They don't understand that there can be a tendency for people, I think, to undervalue their own knowledge and skills because they're so familiar with it. They think, oh, isn't it just so obvious to everybody else as well?
That's exactly right. I talk to other colleagues who've done what I've done over the years, and we look at each other and we go, like, how is it that we didn't know what we had going on? And you're right, like, you practice it so often that it becomes second nature, and you don't actually take I guess you don't comprehend how special some of that learning is. And it's not until I was put in that position where I was coming into contact with smaller businesses than, the Bunnings and the Officeworks and the Coles. And they didn't have the answers. And I thought, it's not that they don't have the answers, they never knew the questions to ask in the first place. And so now it is my, I guess, purpose to share and educate smaller businesses, whether they be micro, small, medium. And I promise you, there's still a number of large organizations in this country that do not know what I know as well, or the disciplines of CX and how to apply it successfully. And I always tell people, just because they're big doesn't mean they're good. So they're getting through somehow, but it doesn't mean that they can't do what they're doing better. And so that has essentially become my purpose, is to help organizations create what I call a trusted and value-driven brand, because what I now know is that without that trust component, you can deliver a service, deliver a product, but everyone and anyone can watch and observe and replicate that. That, in my experience, is just a commodity. And what they can't replicate is the way you create trust, the way you build relationships, and the way that you create a culture that people want to be a part of, whether it be customers and employees. So that is now my life mission. Shoes have been put on hold. I'm back to just buying them.
You're sure
designing them.
you're sure you're not going to shift back to doing shoes anytime soon?
One day. I still have all the domain, and I still have it all sitting there ticking away in the background. But for now, this is the passion hobby.
Do you know the actor Daniel Day-Lewis? He's retired to make shoes.
Has he?
Yeah, that's what he's doing now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that would be very, very interesting to go and scope. He's a character.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a whole range of things that you'd say, but what would you say was the most important or maybe revelatory thing that you learned in your career about customer experience?
to be blunt, I think the most revelatory is that people don't know what customer experience is. And that blew my tiny mind. I was at a business function a few years ago with 400 successful business owners, and I spoke to dozens and dozens and dozens of them about customer experience, and all bar two tried to correct me and insinuate that I was meaning customer service. And that scared the pants off me, because customer experience and the disciplines of customer experience and how to create a loyal and trusted customer experience are so much more in depth than just the way we deliver a service. But CX is a great buzzword at the moment in Australia specifically, but we haven't quite wrapped our head around the holistic processes that CX comes with. And so I tend to have my head explode a little bit when I realize how few business owners actually truly implicitly understand what customer experience means and how to put it together and how to live it. And it's no better when I get on, say, LinkedIn, for example, and I'm looking through all the recruitment pages, and they're looking for CX managers and CX managers here and CX managers there. And then I look at, okay, great, this is awesome. We're starting to get somewhere in this country. And then I look at what they're looking for, and they're ultimately just looking for someone to run their CRM in marketing. And I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. So, that hurts my heart. But at the same time, it gives me this kind of like
gives you
fire
plenty
in
of
my
work, doesn't it?
belly. Yeah, absolutely. If they all knew what CX was, I'd be out of a job. So exactly right. That's a great way to frame it. But it tells me that there's so much more work to do, and so much more opportunity to improve the economy and the way that we do business here in Australia, around the world ultimately. But my focus is predominantly Australian business.
Okay. What would you say is the one thing that, or one CX improvement, or one thing that companies should do in terms of CX by the time it's CX Day in 2024?
Ooh, one thing you could do before CX Day 2024, I reckon, is to sit down and critically analyze the way you deliver your business, and looking predominantly at your customers. Are you targeting the right customers? And the culture in which you deliver it. Because I think what a lot of us have still to learn is that our employee experience is that our employees are our first line of advocates in any business. If your employees hate you, so will your customers. But if you create a culture that is aligned to what your employees value, then they will be the first ones out there parading your brand everywhere they go. And therefore, because they love you, they will, if the offshoot is that your customers will feel that love and feel that genuineness. And so my one thing would be to say is go and critically analyze what the culture looks like in your organization, and find out what you need to do to either sustain the good bits or challenge the challenging bits.
Okay. Thanks. That's all the questions for me. Is there anything you'd particularly like to add?
No, except I cannot wait to be on the panel on CX Day with a group of absolute CX legends. And if you haven't already registered, be sure to register and join us.
Yep. Okay. Thanks for your time. Oh, yeah, have a great day.
You too. See you later.
Thanks.